Cool. So, yeah, welcome. My name is Gabe. I'm with API Nation. Ernest is also here with me along with the webinar. So if you have any questions or need any help or you want anything clarified, you can just throw something in the chat. Me and Ernest will get to it. And actually, if we don't get to it, I'm going to go through all the chat, all the QA later on this afternoon and make sure they all get answered. I can email you the answer to your question. So if we don't get to it today, you will get your answer within, before the end of the day. So welcome. This is API Nation. So let me give you a little bit of background on API Nation and MoxiWorks. So API Nation is a tool you can use to connect apps. So we've talked to agents and brokers, a lot of real estate professionals, and we found that they are using upwards of 30 or 40 apps every day. They open them, they close them, they add contacts, they add leads, they start campaigns, they make phone calls, they send texts, they create videos. You guys are wearing a lot of hats and you're using a lot of different apps to manage all that stuff. And so we found that in most cases, those apps weren't talking to each other. And it's sort of like if you had a whole office full of employees, but none of those employees talk to each other. So you have to go to each one and tell them what to do, and then go to the other one, tell that same guy, give the same instruction 30 times over. So we don't want you to do that. We want you to be able to focus on the things you enjoy doing rather than managing all this technology. So what we do is we connect the apps so they talk to each other, so that if you add a contact into your phone, it goes ahead and tells your CRM. And it tells your transaction manager, we've added this contact, go ahead and add them. It tells your email newsletter app, we've added this contact, put them on the newsletter. It tells your direct mail app, we've added this contact. Don't forget to send a postcard here in 14 days. So all that stuff happens automatically just through this automation. So a little bit about our beliefs here. Real simple, 1 + 1 = 3. That's just this idea. Normally, as you add apps, you have one app, you add a second app. Now you're twice as productive would be the general idea. But we think if you actually connect them, you're going to see an exponential increase. So you have one app, you add a second app, now you're going to be 3 times as productive. You add a third app, now you're going to be 9 times as productive. You add a fourth app, you're going to be 81 times as productive, and so on. So we think that connection is that important and that powerful as far as productivity goes. We think your time is super valuable. It's your only non-renewable resource. You can, grit, hard work, spending late nights, you can get a lot done, but you're not going to find your way into more time except but through automation. So if you can automate some of this stuff, you can win back some of that time. And then the last thing is these automations, if you go to other platforms, are pretty crazy to set up. I don't know if you've tried it with some other platforms, but there's a lot of switches, there's a lot of toggles. In some cases, they're asking you for some code that you got to find. And we don't want you to do any of that. We want you to have this really easy situation to just turn on a connection, turn on a sync, and for it to just work. So when we go through and set up this first sync, we're going to set up a Google Contact sync with Moxie. You're going to see there's just a big button that says activate sync. You push that button and then the sync goes. You don't have to go figure out any code. You don't have to call your nephew who's good with computers and ask him to come help you. You should be able to do this in about 90 seconds. This thing can be up and running. So that is the idea. And today we are going to go through a couple things. The biggest thing we're going to talk about is contact management. So I got a poll I'm going to run right now. You should see it come up, and it's going to ask you, where do you keep most of your contacts? So when you get a lead, where are you putting it? Are you putting it in your phone? Are you putting it in your Google contacts? Are you putting it in, maybe you have an Outlook account? Are you putting it in a CRM? Are you putting it in MoxiWorks? Are you putting it on paper? So, there's a lot of different places. And I kind of want to see where everybody's starting with so that we can make sure we're getting those contacts all in the same place here. So it looks like in general, wow, we got a really, really nice spread here. So far, it looks like really evenly iPhone, Google Contacts, Outlook, other CRM, and other. Okay, cool. We're gonna give it a couple more minutes before we end that, but it looks like a lot of you guys have iPhones, so maybe we won't cover Google Contacts immediately. We'll just jump into iPhone, which could be good. Cool. All right. Well, let's do the iPhone. We're gonna end this poll. Makes a lot of sense. Share those results so you guys can take a look at them. All right, cool. So the idea here is, you guys are all MoxiWorks Engage users, or you're looking at hopping over to MoxiWorks. And the biggest thing to using MoxiWorks, to using any CRM really, to getting started with it and using it successfully, is good management of your contacts. So step one is to figure out, where are my contacts currently? It seems like most of you guys got a good handle on it. A lot of you have them in your iPhone. A lot of you have them in Google Contacts. A couple of you have them in another CRM. So what we first need to do is connect your contacts from your iPhone, from your Google Contacts, from that other CRM, or wherever you have them, Outlook, and get them connected to MoxiWorks. So you're going to go to apination.com. It's going to look like this when you arrive. It's going to have a little greeting screen. We're all about syncing apps, and syncs have never been easier. And you're just going to click this button, Start Syncing. Just get into it. Once you do that, you're going to see a ton of different apps here that you can sync. And there's marketing apps, there's productivity apps, and there's a lot of real estate apps. So go through here. If you're curious, look for any logos for other apps that you're using. Maybe you're using BombBomb alongside MoxiWorks. Maybe you're using .loop with MoxiWorks for your transactions. Maybe you're using something like MailChimp to send out emails. All of those can be automated, and they can all be automated with MoxiWorks, actually. So go through those and see how you can automate those with it. You can also just come on down here to MoxiWorks and click on it. And it's going to show you, all right, you have MoxiWorks. These are the automations available for MoxiWorks. So like I said, BombBomb's here, .loop, Google Contacts, which is like your Gmail and a lot of smartphones, iPhone, Outlook's down here. If you're using a dialer like Mojo, you can automate it using the sync. And yeah, so you'll just go through here and set up an automation. And right now, we are going to set up an iPhone automation. And you're going to kind of see what it looks like to set up a sync here at API Nation. But you can click through any of these and set up an automation, sharing contacts and saving yourself some time here. You also see there's some CRMs in here. So like, I know a lot of you are now have MoxiWorks, but for the past months and years, maybe you've been doing work in another CRM, and you're like, all right, well, now's the time. We got it. We're gonna shift over. So if that's the case, setting up an automation from one of these other CRMs to MoxiWorks could be a really seamless way to slide over and start using MoxiWorks. So yeah, that's a pretty easy way to do it. And also, I know some offices we've talked about are doing it, starting using MoxiWorks in parallel with their other CRM, just as a transition period. So yeah, connecting something like one of these other CRMs to MoxiWorks so that you can use them in parallel while you slowly transition. It gives you a little bit of time, and it's a good way to do it. But yeah, let me show you what it looks like to set up a sync here at API Nation. And like I said, if there's any questions so far, we can stop and we can go through and answer them. Just throw them in the chat, throw them in the Q&A. Denise, it seems like you have a question. Yeah, just grab that in that chat at the bottom or the Q&A and just throw it in there, and we can answer it there. All right, we'll circle back and see once that chat comes through. But in the meantime, let's talk about, oh, it just came through. Wow, way to go. So API Nation is within MoxiWorks. That's a really great question. So we work with MoxiWorks. We're a partner with MoxiWorks, and we've set up connections between MoxiWorks to all these other apps. But we're not a part of MoxiWorks or a company inside MoxiWorks. We're just kind of a tool that exists that connects apps, and one of the apps we connect is MoxiWorks. Cool. No, I think that that makes sense. Yeah, so you are gonna log on separately. Yeah. So Denise asks, so do we log on separately? And yeah, you will have a separate logon, and And part of that is, we connect a bunch of different apps, including MoxiWorks. But if you have other apps you're interested in connecting, you can do that as well. So if you're doing something like, you connect MoxiWorks to .loop, awesome. But then maybe also you want to connect .loop to Google Drive, or maybe also you want to connect your Facebook lead ads to your MailChimp. So there's a lot of different ones. And today we're going to focus on MoxiWorks for sure. But yeah, definitely just tap into all the automations you can do here at API Nation. Cool. All right, let's get into this sync. So you've decided I'm doing MoxiWorks. All my contacts are on an iPhone. How do I get them synced? So first you're going to go to API Nation, click on MoxiWorks, and then you're going to grab this iPhone. And it's going to say, all right, cool. So these are the two apps we're connecting, MoxiWorks and iPhone or iCloud. There's two options for this direction of sync. So we can sync contacts from your iPhone into MoxiWorks. So if you have a bunch of people in there, a lot of contacts, you can add into your iCloud and you want to get them in your CRM so you can start doing that follow-up stuff. This is the sync for you. If you have been really good about adding people to MoxiWorks and now you want them automatically added to your phone, pushed over there so that your caller IDs are updated, everybody is always at hand, all the contacts are easy to use. You can just tell Siri to call somebody and Siri's going to know who you're talking about because she has your contacts in the phone. Then this is the sync for you. And the good news is you can actually do both. So you don't have to choose. You can set up a two-way sync. At the top, you can see there is a flat rate, $10 per agent, and there's a free 30-day trial for you to kind of check this out and see how it's going. And the $10 is, like I said, a flat rate, and it's for all you can sync of the syncs on this page. So like I said, you can turn on one, and your bill at the end of the month is going to be $10, no surprises, no giant bill. If you actually had to push over like 10,000 contacts, you're just going to have a flat rate of $10. You can turn on both syncs and have a two-way sync, still going to be $10. We have some people who set up this, this iCloud contact sync in the Moxie. They'll set it up 5 different times with slightly different rules because they want them to put in different groups in Moxie. And in those cases, it is still $10. It's not $50, it's just $10. So it's kind of a nice, very simple way to handle pricing. So yeah, let me activate one of these syncs and then we'll go back through and look at the other sync. But I'm going to activate iCloud into Moxie. And iCloud is a little interesting because Apple has a few extra hurdles to jump through to connect it to other apps. So the first thing you're going to do is sign into API Nation, and then you're going to see this screen where it's saying, all right, cool. Now let's start connecting your two apps that we want to sync, iPhone and MoxiWorks. So if you've already connected either of these apps, you'll see the account here, and you can go ahead and select it for this sync, or you can hit connect, and it's going to walk you through connecting that app. So like I said, iCloud, a little bit different. You are going to have to go and generate a password, an app-specific password from your iCloud account. It's not a big deal at all. It'll take you about 30 seconds, but it's a little bit different than all the other apps that you connect here. And once you have that app-specific password, you are just going to put it in here. So you'll just put your Apple ID and then whatever password is generated from your Apple account, you'll just paste it in here and hit connect. And if once you're ready to do that, we have instructions on how to find that app-specific password here, or we have a little short video you can do also. Here's the kind of the Apple instructions. Basically, I'll just go to your Apple ID, go to security, and go to app-specific passwords to find that. Once you do that, you put the password, you put your Apple ID in, hit connect. It's going to go ahead and move on to connecting Moxie. Similar thing, you're just going to hit connect. And actually, Moxie's, like I said, a lot easier to connect than Apple. You hit this button. If you're signed in on the browser, it's actually just going to use that sign in and connect it that way. Or it might take you out to a page and you'll just sign in like normal. It'll look like you're just signing into Moxie. Once you do that, you'll have both apps connected. Now MoxiWorks connected, iPhone, iCloud contacts are connected, and you're ready to kind of create the sync. So just a little preliminary question here before we create the sync. Do you want to sync all contacts on first run? And this is just asking, do you want to send over all the existing contacts from your iPhone, from that iCloud account, into MoxiWorks when we turn this thing on? Or the box is unchecked right now, so it's going to start paying attention today, and any contact you add or update from now into the future, it's going to sync into MoxiWorks. So you can choose either of those. Do I want all existing people from my iPhone and everybody in the future? Or do I just want everybody from now and into the future? And the reason people might do just, I think the gut feeling most people have is, well, why wouldn't I just want everybody in there? Let's do it. And I think that is probably like 80% of people. They just, let's check this box. Let's sync them all in there. Let's get MoxiWorks up to date. And I think that's great. Definitely do that. Occasionally we'll have somebody that says, that sounds great, but my iPhone is a mess, man. I got so many contacts and I don't want to push it into MoxiWorks right now and then just have MoxiWorks be a mess. So if that's you, you can still set up a sync. You're just going to start syncing any new contacts going forward. So any leads you add from today going forward, set it up that way. I'm going to go ahead and leave it that way just for simplicity and hit subscribe. And then once you hit subscribe, it's going to create the sync. So this is what your sync looks like. You can see it brought over that option, sees that the box is unchecked. You can see here the accounts that are connected. So there's my Apple account. There is my Moxie account. And then there is a couple other things going on. Here is the big just work button, activate sync. I can click that and this thing will roll. But I want to give you a couple more, show you two more things on this page that can really make your life a lot easier. Another great question from Nias, instead of importing all contacts, is there a way to only sync some? That's a great question. Yeah. So let's talk about this. This is one of the two things I wanted to talk to you guys about is the filter. So all our syncs at API Nation have this filter tool in there, and it allows you to choose exactly who is coming over from the iPhone to the MoxiWorks, or from this app to that app. And basically what it's going to do is you click this drop down and it's going to show you this is all the fields coming over from the app, from iPhone. And if you want to filter based on any of these fields, we can. So for example, sometimes we will have somebody who says, you know what, I want everybody from my iPhone whose job title is agent. And you can do, equals agent is, or, they don't have a job title is empty. They do have a job title, it's not empty. So there's a few different options here. Generally contain seems to be the most useful because, maybe it says real estate agent or buying agent or seller agent or whatever, but it's probably going to contain agent. So you can set it up this way. And this is going to create, this is going to sync over everybody from your iPhone who their job title says they're an agent. And you can have all those people added into MoxiWorks through this sync. So we might have, so you can do it that way. We have some people who do notes. So in their iPhone, they will write something like, sync. They'll just write the word sync in there. And that triggers this sync, letting it know that, now it'll pass by the filter because inside the notes, there's a little word sync. And that triggers that contact to go from your iPhone to MoxiWorks. So there's a few different ways to be a little bit more granular about who's coming over from the iPhone into MoxiWorks using this filter. And the filter is super robust and powerful. If you hit this advanced mode, you can add a bunch of or rules. You can add a bunch of and rules. So you can say notes contains sync, or notes contains buyer, or notes contains, seller. Oh, and so it has to contain all of these. And it also has to be in the zip code, 92111. And then you can build, you can have all these people synced into MoxiWorks, just those people. And so you might think, yeah, that's interesting. But in general, I want everybody synced into MoxiWorks. And for most people, that is the case. They won't, they'll just leave this filter off. But like I said, if you have a lot of people on your iPhone and you're trying to figure out the best way to, stem a tide of just contacts going into your MoxiWorks, this filter is a useful tool in that case. The other thing I wanted to show you is mapping. And the filter and the mapping can kind of work together as a team. I'll show you that in a minute. But mapping is basically, we do most of this for you, but it's just basically just taking the information from your iPhone, from your contacts account, from your Google, from your Outlook, and it's putting it in MoxiWorks. So the email from Apple, from the iCloud, is going into MoxiWorks of the email. The first name is going in the first name. The last name is going to the last name. The address is going to the full home address. And you can go through here and edit this. You can do a couple different things. Job title is going to job title, occupation. So there's a couple interesting things you can do here that I kind of wanted to show you. Once you have everything mapped up and how you want it, one thing you can do is, for example, you have this note area in MoxiWorks, and you can add some of this stuff that doesn't fit anywhere else in, maybe like website. So I don't know if there's a website field in MoxiWorks, but you might find it useful to have their website on hand so you can, easily reach out to them, especially if they're an agent. And you can put that in the notes. So you can just have that website go in the notes just by adding it in there. And you can actually just write text. So you can write website and then a little colon, and you can see here's a kind of a preview of what it will look like. In the notes, it'll say website colon and then their website. And you can do that with as many fields as you want. Hit another one. Let's also do the notes from the iCloud. Absolutely. So let's do notes, and then it'll sync in the notes there. So yeah, you can do a lot of stuff like that. Another thing people will do is, as they sync them, maybe they want them added to a group in Moxie. So maybe I want them added to a group called iPhone contacts. That way I know exactly where they came from, and that group will get created. Yeah, if you don't have a group called iPhone contacts in MoxiWorks, the sync will actually create that group, and it'll start putting people in that group. So that's mapping, and that is the filter. And let me talk about how you can use these together to create some pretty cool things. Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to throw it in the chat, throw it in the QA. This is kind of a, just going over a contact sync, getting them from your phone. In this case, it's an iPhone, but it's going to look really similar for Google. It's going to look really similar for Outlook, and getting them into MoxiWorks.
Hey, Gabe, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Should we show them data mapping? Or not data mapping, but the data formatting tools over there off to the right, down in the mapping. So if you scroll down on the settings bar, over off to the right.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So one of the cool things with mapping that I almost missed, which is actually really cool, is, for example, when I save somebody to my iPhone, I save a contact. Sometimes I'll save the phone number in like office phone, or I'll save it in, mobile phone, and I can't ever remember which one it is. So all my contacts have kind of a phone number saved in different places. And so you can see here, let me find that phone number. Did I miss it? Boop. Yeah, okay, so primary phone number. It's asking, all right, you need a primary phone number. And I'm gonna look in my iPhone for phone numbers. And you can see there's 4 different phone numbers. There's one that says primary phone, but maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It could also be the home phone, could be the work phone, could be the iPhone phone. So in that case, what we would suggest is put all of them in there. So I'm gonna put the primary phone, I'm gonna put the home phone, I'm gonna put the work phone, and I'm gonna put the mobile phone. So they're all in there, and you can see here, there is the kind of preview of what it's gonna look like, and that is not helpful, a lot of numbers. But over here on the gear, there's this fields priority, and I can click on this, and it's a tool that's going to tell the sync, all right, you need to go through these different fields. If there's something in primary, put it in there. If there's something in home, use that. If there's something in work, use that. If there's something in iPhone, use that. And you can, drag and drop these as your priorities change, so that it chooses the one that's actually populated. And it's going to look at all 4 of these and populate the one that you have. So that makes sense. The other thing you can do here is there is the foreign format. So if you need the phone number to be in a specific format, I believe we have it set up so it works with MoxiWorks automatically. But if you happen to be international or something else, you're connecting 2 other apps, you can go ahead and choose the specific format of the phone here. Cool. Yeah, was there anything? And then data mapping.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to have you point out that phone formatting because, on other tools, it's a separate flow. So you got this real long sequence, whereas with us, it's actually in the data mapping section. So
nice. Yeah. And actually, I think the phone number fields priority I've been seeing lately, this is actually really key because like I said, people do save that phone number in different places. And for apps like MoxiWorks, they can't create a contact unless they have a phone number or an email or something. So you want to make sure that you add all the phone numbers you have for the person and then set up that priority so that the contact can get created, because at least one of the phone numbers will come across. Yeah, cool. Yeah, apologies for the dogs. Somebody came to the door and they did not like that. They weren't a fan. Cool. The last thing I wanted to cover here on this page is how you can use the filter and the mapping together. So like I said, if you came to this page, you connected iPhone, connected MoxiWorks, this stuff is mostly set up to just roll. And you can just hit this button and it's going to start syncing contacts. What we're into now is kind of just advanced stuff. If you really want to get into it and really set this up to do some pretty cool stuff. And this last thing is, really cool. So you can set up a filter like we did in the past, looking at notes, and you can do notes contains maybe something like military. And so then you'll just know if I write military in the notes of the contact in iPhone, it's going to get synced using this sync. And I'm going to specify, if I go down here to groups, that it should go in my military group, just like that. This way, I can have people added from my iPhone to MoxiWorks into specific groups, and then I can easily run campaigns for those people in MoxiWorks. So you can see right now I have military syncing to MoxiWorks into the group military, and then I can go ahead and clone this sync. And I can do the same thing for any other groups that I'm really focused on. Maybe I also want to, look at the notes and look for anything like, FSBOs. Come on down here to the groups again, change the group from military to FSBO, and then it'll put all those people in my FSBO group. And then I can activate that sync, and then I'll have one sync running, looking for anybody with military in the notes, put them in the military group. One sync running, looking for anybody who has FSBO in the notes and putting them in the FSBO group. And you can do this with notes. If you want to separate them by zip code, if you want to separate them by city, you can do those as well. So cool. Any questions about any of that so far? Cool. And once you finish, you're just going to hit activate sync. And it's going to put the sync in your syncs here, API Nation. There it is. Active sync contacts into Moxie. If you ever need to pause it, you can just come in here and pause it. Now it's in the pause workflows. If you want to clone it again, you can just hit this button. It's going to clone it again, and you can do a different workflow. But yeah, that is basically it for the iCloud contacts, connecting it to Moxie. And like I said, this is what it's going to look like to get contacts from iPhone, Outlook, Google Contacts. If you have contacts on any of those phones, any of those email clients, and you're trying to get them in Moxie so you can start following up with them, a sync like this is what it's going to look like. Cool.
We
All
should
right.
show them as well, Gabe. If you can go back to that screen where they could edit the name of the actual workflow. I don't know if you highlighted that for them there or not.
Oh yeah. So let me show you. So on my syncs, you can see we got 3 syncs. This one you're not going to worry about because you're not using this. I'm going to get rid of this so we can see it. If you do need to delete a sync, you'll just click into it. You go into settings, go to the very bottom, and there's remove. So just in case you need to do that, that's how you do it. But you can see, okay, I got 2 syncs here. I got iCloud into Moxie, and I have iCloud into Moxie, copy. And if you come in here, you might be like, I don't remember which one is doing military, which one's doing FISBO, which, I want to pause the FISBO one. I don't want to pause military. It's not super helpful. So what you can do, open up the workflow. This is the military sync I can see right here. And I can just name this. I click that pencil and name it military. And there we go, activate it. And I can go back to my syncs and click, go back to my syncs. Oh, did I save it? Did not save it. There we go. Now I go to my syncs and do the same thing with the other one. Click this pencil, FISBO, FSBO. There we go. That way, now this is, a lot neater, a lot more organized, and I know which syncs are doing what, especially when you get into kind of more advanced stuff where you have multiple syncs. You do not have to do this kind of more advanced stuff. I would say an overwhelming amount of agents come in here and they just connect my, I just want to get my iPhone connected to my Moxie. And so they just have that sync set up, sending everybody over from their phone into Moxie. So you can absolutely do that to get all those contacts into Moxie and start following up that way. It's cool. Let's see here. Let's go back to Moxie and let's talk about a couple other syncs we've seen be pretty popular with Moxie users. So if you are getting started with Moxie, I think by far the most important sync you can set up is getting the contacts from your phone, iPhone, Google Contacts, or Outlook, sent over into Moxie. But once you do that, so after you finish this webinar, go do that. That is huge, big step 1. Get those contacts in there. But once you do that, you might think, automating, that was great. I like this. This is great. What other things can I be connecting to Moxie to really make this a powerful, tech stack that's working together, doing things so I don't have to. So I want to kind of show you 2 other types of apps that people are connecting to Moxie that makes their life a lot easier. The first one is an email newsletter app. You can send email newsletters through Moxie if that's working. If you have that and you're sending them out that way, don't stop doing that. Keep doing that. But we do have people who are using email newsletter apps. So something like MailChimp right here, Constant Contact, BombBomb to a degree. You can actually send video emails, Active Campaign, and Dub. So I'm actually going to ask you guys, to consider email newsletters. Are you sending out an email newsletter? I'm kind of curious how many of our Moxie users are currently sending those out. Let me clean this up a little bit. There we go. So I'll launch that. Cool. So cool. We got that poll running, but let me talk about email newsletter with any of these apps. I'm going to go with Constant Contact because that one's pretty popular, especially with real estate agents. So you can see the sync here is sending contacts from Moxie into Constant Contact. Constant Contact, Active Campaign, MailChimp, they are all apps designed all around sending emails to large groups of people. So real estate agents in general, you guys are sending a lot of emails back and forth between you and the leads, between you and the clients, getting that information, following up, making the deals. But then there's also this whole other type of email strategy where along with that, you're sending out this weekly or bi-weekly email newsletter, large blast out to all of your contacts, just to keep yourself top of mind with them, just to get in the inbox, let them know, I'm a real estate agent that and if you're thinking about anything with real estate, I'm in your inbox. You can just reply back, and we can get that deal rolling. So that's what people usually use these apps for. And they can just set up an automation so that contacts from Moxie, people you're adding there, also automatically get added to their email newsletter app like Constant Contact. So that instead of every time they want to send out an email newsletter, instead of having to go and download all their people from Moxie, all the new leads, all the new contacts, and then upload them into Constant Contact, they can just hop into Constant Contact and fire off an email knowing the contacts are updated. This looks exactly the same. You're just going to select both the apps, or connect both the apps. Very similar, signing in, connecting it. The question it asks is going to look very similar. In this case, it's asking, all right, do you want to sync them to a specific newsletter list? And you can go ahead and choose it here. So I'm going to just choose, I'm actually going to create a new one. I'm going to call it MoxiWorks. And it'll create a new email newsletter list, with all my MoxiWorks clients. So it's going to create that sync. And then I can go through and map stuff up in here. Again, I can filter people. And then I'll just map everybody up. Once I'm finished adding the information, this is all the MoxiWorks stuff coming over into Constant Contact. I can just activate this sync. So now the sync is running, and now all the contacts from MoxiWorks that I add, that I update, they'll also get added in Constant Contact, which is going to save me time when I have to send out that newsletter. Cool. And then, so that is one of the two types of apps that can kind of save you some time. Sending contacts from your CRM to an email newsletter app like that. The other type is direct mail. So I think Moxie has some integrations with and they have some tools in there for direct mail. But we have also, in case you want to try them, an integration with MoxiWorks and Mailbox Power. So if you sync MoxiWorks with this app, Mailbox Power, you can have your contacts, again, automatically shared with Mailbox Power. And Mailbox Power is a pretty cool direct mail app that will send out, the normal thing, postcards. So you can have every contact as they get added to MoxiWorks, they'll get sent over to Mailbox Power, and then they'll start getting, some postcards from you to kind of warm up and nurture that lead. But also, we have a lot of agents who will connect their CRM to Mailbox Power because you can send other things like brownies, popcorn, laser etched poker sets, grills, golf balls with their name on it. So there's a ton of different gifts and stuff you can send. And by connecting your CRM to Mailbox Power, this direct mail app, all this stuff is just like a click away. We've actually had some people who will connect it so that as they add people to a group, let's say I set up a group in MoxiWorks called Brownies. And when I add them to that group in Moxie, there's a filter set up so that it triggers a sync into Mailbox Power and it gets put into an automatic campaign there to send them a brownie. So I can trigger shipments of mugs, brownies, popcorn from MoxiWorks without having to leave it, which is pretty cool. Cool use of automation. So cool. Those are the three big types of syncs we see people using with MoxiWorks, and how they set them up. The first one, huge. If you come away from this, this webinar with nothing else, it's go to apination.com, start syncing your Google contacts, your iPhone contacts, your Outlook to MoxiWorks to make sure all those contacts and leads are automatically added. After that, if you're sending out emails through another app like Constant Contact and MailChimp, connect those also and save yourself some time. And then finally, consider using that Mailbox Power as kind of the cherry on top. You can do some cool things sending out direct mail there. Cool. Ernest, anything else you think is kind of relevant to discuss right now?
Not that comes to top of mind. We did get a question from Denise. This is being recorded, and I believe you will be sending out the video later on today.
Yeah. Once it all gets processed by the big Zoom machine, it's going to send it to me, and then I can pass it along to all you guys so you can check it out. Cool. The last thing I wanted to mention, we talked about the big 3 apps. One app we have had a lot of interest in is .loop. We have a bunch of people who are starting up with MoxiWorks, and they have a bunch of contacts and clients in .loop from past deals, and they think, you know what, it'd be great to get those people in MoxiWorks. So consider that also if that's you. There is an app, there's a sync here to do that, to just sync up .loop and MoxiWorks and get those contacts from .loop into MoxiWorks. So you do this one, .loop contacts into Moxie. Probably this one, actually, the one in the address books into Moxie. So definitely think about that. If you're a .loop user, you're getting started with Moxie, leverage your .loop contact address book and get a running start in Moxie that way. Cool. Yeah, I think that's about it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. You can go to apination.com and click on, contact us or support. You can also go to apination.com/Gabe. That's me, Gabe. And it's going to take you to my calendar link. And, just grab a convenient time and we can hop on a Zoom and we can go through your dream connection for MoxiWorks and how we can set it up and make sure everything is working exactly how you hope. But yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you all for coming. We'll be in touch about our next webinar as far as syncing stuff to Moxie. And I hope to see you around. Thanks, Ernest.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Gabe.